Why ain't nobody tell me fishing was such an expensive hobby?
You need a damn hobby. And no, what you are doing right now is not a hobby.
Women should have hobbies, and this is mine.
Now that I'm sitting with all these things I bought, thinking that this is now my new identity, my new hobby, something I've become obsessed with, I really wasn't obsessed.
Y'all have got to stop telling the lie that all hobbies cost money. They do not.
Do you have a hobby?
You need a damn hobby. And no, what you are doing right now is not a hobby. That is why you're feeling so restless and empty all the time. Since we're dusting some cobwebs off of this concept, let's define what a hobby really is. A hobby is something that sparks joy, creativity, or growth. It is something that restores you, fills your tank. Watching Netflix, scrolling on TikTok, getting lost in Twitter. It feels like it might be restoring you, but it's actually just consumption. And if you think about it this way, I'm guessing gas prices are kind of crazy right now. Only guessing because, well, I take the metro. A full tank plus consumption equals an empty tank. Hobbies fill up your gas tank, and your online behavior is actually consuming your reserve, leaving you running on empty. I was able to identify 3 reasons as to why we are losing hobbies. Let's call them the big 3. Number 1 is time displacement. The average American spends between 4 and 6 hours a day on their phone. Just take a look at your screen time right now and tell me that's not true. Our second thing here is the perfection and monetization trap. Many feel that if they're not excellent in their hobby or making a profit off of it, it's not worth it. And number 3, convenience culture. Let's be real. It is easier to scroll than to actually do anything. So instead of creating something, we consume everything that's around us. And that is why life feels so dull. But here is why hobbies actually matter. Research shows that hobbies are linked to lowering depression, raising stress management, and raising overall life satisfaction. It also triggers something called flow, coined by Hungarian psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. It's that state where you are so absorbed that time disappears. Flow is known to reduce anxiety and give you a natural dopamine boost. A study in psychosomatic medicine found that people with hobbies have lowered blood pressure, lowered cortisol, and better overall health. So, where do you start? I like to make it really simple. Ask your inner child. I'm using a little bit of therapy speak here, okay? Your inner child is that curious, playful part of you that remembers what you once loved before life got in the way. What did you do at age 7? Did you draw, play soccer, bake, play with rocks like I did? Those aren't just like kid things. They are doorways back to joy that's kind of tailored to you. For example, last night, I lit a new candle. I put on my 2-hour focus timer, blocking all of my distracting apps. And I started my new Harry Potter Lego set that my boyfriend got me. We sat there listening to Gregory Alan Isakov, giggling and doing our Legos together. And really, we could feel like this every day if we wanted to. We just gotta get rid of this thing first. So remember, TikTok is not a hobby. Netflix is not a hobby. Picking something up and playing or creating, that is a hobby. And that is how you take your joy back. Okay, well, it's getting dark here. I'm gonna go finish my Legos.
So when I was younger, I was into pottery. I was into needlepoint. We used to do stained glass. Now I'm talking about my siblings. We used to do all these things. Sewing, latch hook, crocheting. I never got into knitting. My cousin knits very well. All those different things. Hey, we used to play jacks. All these little things that took up our time, but I haven't done them lately. But I think I should probably take something up again, but I just feel like my kids take up so much of the time. How about you? But today it just seems like the time is not there. Do you have the time for hobbies? We got to make the time, right?
Women should have hobbies, and this is mine. Okay, this baby had 7,000 pieces and several different colors. I couldn't leave homegirl by herself, so I went and got me a new one. So I'm excited to start this build. I will be, posting update videos and everything. But yeah, women should have hobbies. This is mine. I love brick building. You can see, some bricks behind me on the wall. This is my jam. So yeah, if you're into this, I'm your girl.
Now, speaking of bear bricks, my son really loves these little collector's items, but they also come in like the big sculptures as well. But we saw these today at the mall. He wanted to go window shopping. Now, that's a setup. That's a setup, window shopping for a 9-year-old. Just stop it. Anyway, we saw these and I was looking at the prices. Why did I see 600? Did I see 500? Did I see $400? That is too expensive for a collector's item for a 9-year-old. That's too expensive for me to purchase today. I'm not doing it. What's that old saying? Too rich for my blood. Too rich for my blood was the case today. Now, I know people spend good money on their hobbies. Take a look at this one.
Why ain't nobody tell me fishing was such an expensive hobby? I was just trying to venture out, do something different. I actually really enjoy fishing. Since I started fishing last month, I've been fishing every day. Whether I catch something or not, I've been fishing every day. But why nobody told me this shit was so goddamn expensive? And why nobody tell me about all these itches you get? I currently drive a car, a Benz, whatever. A small one at that. I'm trying to trade my fucking car in to get a truck. A truck? I'm over here at Bass Pro Shop looking at boats. Boats? Kayaks? Y'all, I haven't even caught a bass, and I'm out here looking at bass boats and like, it's so addicting and nobody talks about it. It's so addicting. I want a kayak. I have a fear of sitting in a kayak and getting flipped over by an alligator tail or some shit like that. I live in Florida, but I still want a kayak. I'm sick of fishing on the bank. I'm sick of fishing at piers. I want to be in the water. Everything's so expensive. The kayak I want costs $1,700. The bass boat I was looking at cost $100,000. The truck I want $40K. Like, y'all got money. Y'all got money for real.
We got to figure out some free hobbies to save our money, right? We got to figure out some free hobbies to save our money.
I'm going to hold your hands when I say this. Y'all have got to stop telling the lie that all hobbies cost money. They do not. Matter of fact, I'm going to listen right now. If you are seeing me, that means that you have a smartphone or some kind of device, which means that you have a charger, which means you have electricity and Wi-Fi. There are hobbies that work with that and without that. I'm going to tell you. If you want to read, there is an online app. It is completely free. It's called Libby. You get a library card and they will give you all the free books. There are even audiobooks. I'm listening to an audiobook right now on it. It is free. If you want to go out and walk, that is free. If you have access to a pencil, which is very inexpensive, you can get them at the $1.25 store, but you can get it there. That is inexpensive. That is literally less than $5. Since you're on a device, that means you also have access to the app called Canopy. Canopy is a free app that allows you to watch movies and films. And if you want to, you can watch the films and as a hobby, then critique them after and act like you're a film critic. At some point you have to eat. So then you can look up recipes that involve the ingredients that you have in your house and see what you can make and act like you're on a cooking show. That's another hobby. You're on a device. That means you have access to some kind of notes app or something of that nature. You can write poetry. You can write stories. And depending on what kind of app phone or situation you have going on, you probably can do some kind of like drawing on it. If you have a little bit of money but not a lot, you can go to the dollar store and literally get some paints and brushes for really inexpensively and then paint on that and draw on that if you'd like. Anything that derives pleasure and is not being used for monetary gain has the opportunity to be used as a hobby. You don't have to do it every single day. You don't have to do it all the time, but something. It can be walking, it can be running, it can be skipping, it can be jumping. I don't care what you do. But something to encourage the serotonin, something to encourage the dopamine. And we've got to stop telling ourselves this because it is preventing you from having any kind of solution. It is keeping you in a position that does not serve you. I need you to start looking at other hobbies before you say this.
Now let's look at some of the comments here. So the first one says, I just learned about Libby and Canopy from my library and 100% love it. Somebody said my hobby costs $5. I've been working on this 1,000 piece puzzle for 6 hours. Oh, Home Depot has made 5 certificate programs free too. That's about to be my new hobby. And that's if you go to Home Depot. A lot of people are not patronizing Home Depot at this time. Somebody else says they're scrapbooking using recycled materials and dollar items. I go to Dollar Tree and get the small wooden figures that come with paint. I sit, have some wine, and paint away. That sounds like a plan. I love painting. Go to your local Buy Nothing group and ask for arts and crafts supplies too. There's always a crafter, artist with extra supplies they don't use, just waiting to share with you. Very interesting. So if you do use Facebook, they have a buy nothing group. Someone says also places like Five, I'm going to guess Five Below, have cheap stuff too. $5 diamond painting kits, sketchbooks, markers, cheap knitting kits, etc. See, I knew there would be some good stuff in these comments. People sharing. My hobby is the library, literally free, and my money hobby is thrifting. So they do two things: bird watching and plant identification. That is close enough to see with my eye, as I'm not buying binoculars. I just check out books from the library. Somebody said going to the park is free, and it is. I love a good nature walk. Nice and free, and it helps with your health. So go on and take that walk. Take that walk in the park, or people watch in the park. Get some fresh air. My hobby is reading. It's free. My library sells books too for 50 cents each. Oh, that's nice. I wrote a book. I don't have money, but I have draft copies of my book. Those pages are art pieces now. That's really nice. So I'm glad we were able to look in some of these comments and get some additional ideas on hobbies. Now, you can also join in this conversation by adding some free hobbies below in my comment section. You know I love a good comment conversation. All right, back to the videos. Is there something that you do to pass the time besides shopping? It seems like overconsumption has become a hobby. Like you always feel like you got to go to the mall, get the latest trend. You got to shop online, find the latest bags, find the latest sneakers, all those things. But what is your hobby? And I was thinking about that. My current hobby is my kids. They have me going to basketball, football, school activities, all of those things. That's my hobby right now, the kids. Prior to the kids, I would say it was reading books. It was fine dining. I love finding good restaurants. Is that a hobby? I don't know. I love to hike. I love to go like for walks in the park, things like that. Those I would consider my hobbies. I was in a book club. I think I said that already. My oldest son, he had sent me a coloring book. You know what I did? I used to paint for fun. I would do like abstract painting or like sipping paints, those types of things. But he sent me a coloring book and I haven't cracked it open yet. Shame for shame. But anyway, coloring book and the markers. Okay. Anyway, what's your hobby? What's your hobby? So there was this other video that I saw recently on TikTok, and somebody was talking about how overconsumption has become a hobby. And I thought that was interesting. Watch this.
With the recent hype of trying to find hobbies, I think we've turned our hobbies into part of our identities. And because of that, we are trying to buy into creating who our identity is. When in reality, our identity is who you actually are, what you are naturally, what your interests are, where your passions lie, not in what you're able to buy to show that. We are consuming more of the aesthetic than the actual thing and doing the actual thing and focusing more on the looks of it. And trust me, the spending and everything is innocent. I have done it myself. With anything I've been slightly interested in, I just buy everything I need to partake in it. And now that I'm sitting with all these things I bought, thinking that this is now my new identity, my new hobby, something I've become obsessed with, I really wasn't obsessed with that. I really was just obsessed with the looking the part and buying the actual items rather than being the person that would use them or find them useful. So I want to know, do you have a current obsession that you are struggling with figuring out? Do I buy these products to fit into this new aesthetic or niche? Or are you trying to find contentment in just observing it, learning about it without financially putting into it? Because I want to go back to just like knowing a lot about certain things or about some of your hobbies, but only putting in so much into it financially to help us not find another way to overconsume. First, it was just in the clothing and the things that you already buy in a day-to-day. Let's not add our hobbies to our overconsumption list.
So let's get into some of these comments here. I'm sure they're very interesting because this was a good point that she made about hobbies and overconsumption. So the first one says, I think this is super important to think about, especially for someone trying to save money and feed less into consumerism. When we talked about this before, initially, I thought I wanted to take on numerous hobbies. And a lot of times, just saying that, there's been a lot of times where maybe you have even felt like, okay, maybe I should start doing XYZ, and then you get all the stuff for XYZ, and then you're like, I don't even really want to do it. So a lot of times we just have to take a step back and really think about, is this something that I really want to do? Is this something that will really bring me joy? Is this something that I've been yearning to learn more about before, diving straight into it? Anytime I see someone in the stationery community, I think immediately they have money because anything is over $15. Every little thing that you buy stationery wise, at least from what I've seen on TikTok, it's a lot of aesthetically pleasing things. And of course, things that are aesthetically pleasing, you won't find in the Dollar Tree. But there are lots of stationery items in the Dollar Tree. So feel free. If that's something that you're interested in, start small and then work your way up. Someone said I had to realize that my hobby was shopping for new hobbies and not the hobby itself. And that's really an introspective take. A lot of times, like I said before, you probably are interested in something. So you feel like I got to get this and I got to get that and I got to get this. So the hobby is always, what do I have to buy for this hobby? As opposed to doing the hobby itself. So you have everything that you need already. You've already purchased it. Now it's time to sit down and do the thing. Learning that made it easier to just try new things without the spending. And that's a good point. So like she was saying, we start to overconsume in things where we think this is going to be our hobby. We have to have the latest markers if we're into coloring. We have to have the latest paints if we're into painting. And we have to have new easels and new this and new that. Instead of being consumed with the purchases, start drawing, start painting. Like, you don't need all of that stuff in order to do the thing. Somebody said, them planners collect dust around here. I don't waste my money. And I agree. We're not wasting money now. We're seeing a lot of changes happening where our money does not stretch the way it used to. We got to save as much as we can in order to make sure that we can pay our bills, pay for groceries, buy necessities. If there's an emergency, we got to make sure we have that money in the bank, right? Yes, this is such a good take. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's annoying how social media has forced so many of us to build an aesthetic instead of being authentically ourselves. And we always want to be authentically who we are as opposed to trying to make an aesthetic that pleases others, right? Somebody said all them planners and they don't even use them. I'm sure that's the case for many of us, huh? When we buy certain things and you be like, I'm going to use it, and end up just letting it sit on the shelf. Oh, I've been there, done that. Let me know if you've done that too. You just buy it to buy it. Therefore, we have consumerism or overconsumption. Now, all of these different hobbies, they're all fine and well, but as long as you're not over consuming, that is the issue here. If you have a hobby, let me know in the comments. If there are things that you're interested in and you think you're going to take it up in 2026, let me know in the comments. All right. Thank you so much for being here. Take care, and I'll see you on the next video.